Many women over 50 don't realize this. That the way your body and brain perceive intimacy after menopause can quietly shape the emotional rhythm of the rest of your life. It's not just about physical closeness with your partner. It's about the hormones that once guided your calm, your confidence, and your sense of connection. Because intimacy doesn't truly vanish. It only waits, patiently, to be awakened again. Hello, I'm Dr. Christopher Hale, a board-certified endocrinologist who has spent over 15 years helping women restore hormonal balance and emotional vitality. Through thousands of conversations in my practice, one truth has stood out again and again. After menopause, something subtle shifts. Women still love deeply. They still care for their partners. But the spark, the easy connection, feels dimmed. Here's what most don't know, that change isn't a loss of love. It's a biological response. When estrogen and oxytocin decline, the brain begins to process touch, affection, and closeness differently. What once felt effortless now needs gentle rekindling. The good news? It's absolutely possible to bring that connection back, naturally. Once you understand what's happening inside your body, you can begin to restore both your confidence and your inner harmony. Because intimacy isn't only about romance, it's about vitality, balance, and feeling fully alive again. Before we continue, I'd love for you to subscribe to this channel. We're on our way to reaching 10,000 women around the world, and your support helps us share this knowledge even further. And if you're watching right now, leave a comment below, tell me where you're watching from. Let's see how far this message of renewal can reach. Now, let's look deeper into what really happens inside the female body when intimacy starts to fade after 50, and what you can do to bring it back. 1. The silent drift of connection. When women enter their 50s, something subtle yet unmistakable begins to change. It doesn't happen overnight. It unfolds quietly, through busier schedules, shorter conversations, and fewer gestures of affection. Many of my patients describe it as a slow widening of the space between two people who still love each other deeply. And I always remind them, this isn't about effort or emotion. It's biology. It's the body and brain adjusting to an entirely new hormonal landscape. As estrogen and oxytocin decline, the brain's sensitivity to emotional connection begins to shift. These hormones don't just affect mood or comfort, they govern how the brain perceives touch, trust, and safety. When those chemical signals fade, even small misunderstandings can feel heavier. Moments that once led to closeness can now feel strained or distant. The nervous system quietly shifts from connection mode to protection mode. That's why so many women tell me they feel empty or detached, even though their relationships appear fine on the surface. Medically, this isn't failure. It's a natural neurological adaptation, the brain searching for a new balance. Studies show that oxytocin, the so-called bonding hormone, drops sharply after menopause. This loss can dull the soothing power of touch and change how the body regulates stress. As a result, it often takes more time, more reassurance, and more emotional safety to feel close again. It's not that women stop caring. Their bodies simply need a different kind of nourishment, one that speaks to their new rhythm. I often tell my patients it's like getting a new pair of lenses after years of seeing up close. The world hasn't changed, your focus has. The same is true of intimacy after menopause. It doesn't disappear, it evolves. And when women begin to understand these biological shifts, something beautiful happens. They stop blaming themselves or their partners. They start viewing connection not as something to force, but something to tend to gently. That awareness becomes the turning point. Because once compassion replaces frustration, the body begins to relax again, and that's when a quiet miracle unfolds. The rediscovery of what intimacy truly means at this stage of life. Not just touch or romance, but a deep, grounded companionship built on patience, empathy, and emotional peace. 2. Redefining intimacy after 50. For many women, the word intimacy has long been tied to romance, passion, or physical closeness. But after menopause, it takes on an entirely new dimension. I often tell my patients, intimacy is not an act, it's communication between two nervous systems. In earlier years, connection was fueled by youthful hormones. Now, it's guided by awareness, intention, and emotional safety. When the body changes, the way we connect must evolve with it. Many women assume that lower desire means something is wrong. But in reality, the hormonal picture has simply shifted, and it calls for a slower, more deliberate rhythm. The brain now relies on frequent affection, gentle reassurance, and calm presence to recreate the same neurological comfort that touch once provided so easily. What used to be instinctive now requires mindfulness, and that doesn't make it less real. In fact, it often makes it more meaningful. Medically speaking, when emotional closeness or physical affection occurs, levels of oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine rise together. I call this the chemistry of calm connection. It lowers cortisol, reduces inflammation, and even improves sleep. Research shows that women who maintain consistent affectionate communication, holding hands, speaking softly, laughing together, have steadier moods and lower blood pressure than those who don't. These findings remind us that intimacy after 50 is not about performance, it's about chemistry. I once worked with a patient who told me, "Dr. Hale, I thought we were fine. We just stopped talking." I asked her to spend 10 minutes each night simply talking with her husband, no phones, no television, just words. When she returned months later, she smiled and said, "My body feels lighter. My mind calmer." That simple ritual had reactivated the same hormonal pathways once triggered by physical closeness. Science confirms it, communication is the new form of intimacy. So when a woman tells me she feels distant, I always encourage her to redefine what closeness means. Intimacy at this stage isn't measured by frequency or intensity, it's measured by presence. When affection becomes about safety, awareness, and gentle care, the body responds in kind. Desire, energy, and comfort start to return naturally, because the brain once again feels seen, supported, and understood. And as that awareness deepens, many women discover that the most powerful form of pleasure isn't physical at all. It's the quiet joy of being truly understood, and fully accepted, exactly as you are. 3. The hormonal chemistry of touch. Most women are surprised when I tell them this. The science of intimacy is, in fact, the science of chemistry. What you feel after menopause isn't just emotional, it's biological. Your body is quietly recalibrating how it produces and responds to key hormones that shape your energy, calm, and sense of closeness. Every affectionate gesture, a gentle hug, a hand resting on a shoulder, a slow embrace, acts like a daily message to the brain, reminding it that you are safe. That safety allows your body to release a symphony of restorative hormones. When you experience warm, caring touch, even for a moment, oxytocin rises. This hormone tells your nervous system, you are protected. You are connected. It helps lower cortisol, balance blood pressure, and steady your heartbeat. Then dopamine joins in, bringing motivation and emotional clarity, while endorphins soften physical tension and lift mood. Together, they form what researchers beautifully call the biochemical language of connection. In other words, intimacy isn't just what happens between two people. It's a quiet conversation happening inside your body. When that conversation stops for too long, when touch disappears, the body begins to interpret silence as isolation or stress. Cortisol levels rise, energy dips, and both partners can mistake this physiological distance for rejection. But in truth, it's not emotional failure. It's biology waiting to be reactivated. I've seen this countless times in women who believe they've lost their spark, when in reality, their bodies simply crave gentle stimulation, not in a sexual sense, but through nurturing acts, a light massage, a comforting hug, mindful self-care rituals. Clinical studies show that women who intentionally practice physical affection, not for performance, but for presence, experience measurable improvements in mood, immune function, and emotional stability within just weeks. They sleep better. Their confidence returns. It's one of the most natural, safe, and effective hormonal therapies available, though often overlooked because it feels too ordinary. If you're listening right now, I'd love to know your experience. Type yes in the comments if you've ever noticed how a single caring touch can calm your mind or lift your spirit. And if you haven't tried it lately, take this as your reminder. Reconnect through small gestures of kindness. Because in medicine, as in love, it's the consistent, simple actions that lead to the most profound transformations over time. When women begin to see touch as nourishment rather than performance, something remarkable happens. The body responds. The heartbeat steadies. The nervous system softens. That is where true healing begins, and it becomes the foundation for the next chapter. Learning how to rekindle intimacy in a way that honors your body and your season of life. 4. Relearning intimacy after menopause. After menopause, many women tell me that intimacy feels unfamiliar. As if their bodies changed the rules without warning. What once came naturally now requires awareness and care. But this isn't failure, it's adaptation. The hormonal foundation that once made passion effortless has evolved. And with that evolution comes a chance to rediscover connection on a deeper, more meaningful level. At this stage, the body no longer responds to quick sparks or rushed expectations. It responds to consistency, trust, and emotional warmth. With lower estrogen and progesterone, the brain relies more heavily on oxytocin to foster bonding. That means small acts, genuine affection, shared laughter, kind words, quiet time together, become powerful new catalysts for desire. Physical connection now grows from emotional safety, not the other way around. I often explain it this way to my patients. This process is like physical therapy after an injury, slow, gentle, guided by awareness. You start by rebuilding sensitivity through mindfulness and patience. When a woman allows herself to slow down and focus on presence instead of performance, her body remembers. The nervous system relaxes. Circulation improves. And her mind opens to joy in new, subtle ways. Simple daily rituals can make a profound difference. Set aside time free from distractions. No phones, no television, just talking, eye contact, or quiet companionship. Practice conscious touch. Place a hand on your own skin, feel its temperature and texture without judgment or agenda. These small acts help the brain reassociate touch with comfort and safety. Within a few weeks, most women begin to notice that their bodies start to respond again, even before any physical intimacy takes place. Couples often find that this stage of rediscovery strengthens their relationship more than ever before. They communicate more honestly, express affection more naturally, and experience a peaceful, restorative kind of closeness. Men, too, often welcome this new rhythm, realizing that their partner's slower pace invites a gentler, more synchronized experience of connection. This phase of life isn't about reclaiming youth. It's about renewing the dialogue between body and emotion. When a woman learns to approach her body with patience and respect, her hormones respond in harmony. Desire returns, not as urgency, but as ease, curiosity, and quiet confidence. And from that place, a new lesson emerges. That sometimes, the smallest gestures, even the silent ones, can completely redefine what it means to be close. 5. A lesson from a 78-year-old woman. A few years ago, I met a woman named Eleanor, someone who completely changed the way I talk about intimacy with every patient who walks into my office. She was 78. Calm, articulate, and radiating the kind of quiet strength that only comes from a life well lived. When I asked what brought her in that day, she smiled and said softly, "Nothing's wrong, doctor. I just came to tell you something important." That conversation became one of the most memorable lessons of my career. Eleanor told me that after her husband suffered a stroke, their physical connection changed completely. What used to be routine was no longer possible. But instead of withdrawing, she approached connection in a new way. Each morning, she would hold his hand, smooth his hair, and whisper gentle words of love. She told me, "I realized love isn't in what you do, it's in how you show up." Those small gestures became their new form of intimacy, peaceful, tender, and, as she described, more fulfilling than anything they'd ever known before. From a medical standpoint, what she was doing was extraordinary. Every tender touch released oxytocin and dopamine, the very hormones that strengthen emotional bonds and support physical healing. Her husband's blood pressure improved. His anxiety lessened. And Eleanor herself became calmer, steadier, more grounded. Their quiet exchange didn't just comfort them, it literally changed their body chemistry. What Eleanor intuitively understood was that the human body never stops responding to connection. The hormonal system doesn't retire, it simply needs different conditions to thrive. When love is expressed through kindness and attention, rather than speed or expectation, the brain records that safety and releases the same healing chemistry that once made intimacy effortless. I often share Eleanor's story because it captures the essence of mature intimacy. Giving doesn't weaken you, it strengthens you. A woman who chooses to love with patience and generosity activates her body's own repair mechanisms. She becomes more resilient, more serene, not because of what she receives, but because of what she allows herself to express. Eleanor's story reminds us that affection doesn't fade with age, it simply asks to be redefined. And when that happens, something beautiful begins to unfold. Love starts nourishing the body just as deeply as it nourishes the heart. That realization leads to an even greater truth. That intimacy, when practiced wisely, can slow biological aging and strengthen the body's natural systems from within. 6. How intimacy keeps you biologically younger. Many women are surprised when I tell them this. Intimacy is one of the most powerful natural anti-aging therapies we have. And that's not poetic language, it's science. Authentic emotional and physical connection activates biological systems that sustain the heart, brain, and immune function. After menopause, when estrogen levels decline, these effects become even more critical. The body depends more on emotional balance and healthy connection to maintain internal stability. Each time you express affection, a hug, shared laughter, a few quiet moments of touch, a cascade of biological responses begins. The brain releases oxytocin, lowering blood pressure and improving circulation. Dopamine enhances motivation and mental clarity. Endorphins reduce inflammation and physical tension. Together, this biochemical trio strengthens cardiovascular health, stabilizes mood, and improves sleep quality. In studies of women over 50, those who maintain consistent emotional and physical connection show significantly lower levels of chronic inflammation, stronger immune systems, and better bone density than women who experience long periods of isolation. Even gentle, non-sexual touch has been shown to improve cognitive function and reduce anxiety. These findings reveal something profound. Intimacy, in its simplest form, sustains both body and mind. I once worked with a couple in their late 60s who hadn't shared physical closeness in nearly a decade. They began with small steps, evening walks, a brief hand massage, a few minutes of gratitude before bed. Within months, everything changed. The wife reported deeper sleep, fewer headaches, and a calmer resting heart rate. She told me, "I feel alive again, not because of passion, but because I finally feel connected." Her body was responding exactly as science predicts. Her brain was sending signals of safety, and her nervous system was returning to balance. Intimacy, at this stage of life, isn't a luxury. It's a biological necessity. It stabilizes mood, regulates hormones, and supports heart health. Much like gentle exercise, the act of staying emotionally and physically connected tells the body that life is still in motion, that you are still participating fully. And from that awareness, vitality returns, in a way no pill, supplement, or procedure can replicate. Understanding this is where real empowerment begins. Because when love is practiced consistently and kindly, it becomes one of the most reliable ways to preserve longevity, clarity, and joy. Now we come to something deeply practical. How small, intentional rituals can help every woman begin applying these insights in her daily life. By the time a woman reaches 50, her body has already adapted through countless transitions. Childbirth, hormonal changes, stress, and loss. Yet few realize that the smallest daily habits can directly shape hormonal balance and emotional peace. Reconnection doesn't always begin in the bedroom. More often, it begins in quiet, consistent moments that send a gentle message to your brain and body. You are safe. You belong here. One simple morning ritual can start that process. Place your hand over your chest and take 5 slow, deliberate breaths. This activates your vagus nerve, helping regulate heart rhythm and calm your nervous system. It also boosts oxytocin, the hormone of connection and emotional stability. Many women find that after just a few minutes, their breathing deepens. Their thoughts slow, and a quiet sense of calm takes root before the day even begins. Another powerful yet simple practice is gratitude for your body. Write down 3 things you appreciate about it, no matter how small. This simple act shifts your brain from self-judgment to self-recognition. Neurological research shows that gratitude lowers cortisol and activates dopamine, improving both mood and motivation. When you pair gratitude with conscious touch, for example, applying lotion slowly and with genuine care, your body interprets it as affection, not routine. And that strengthens your natural hormonal rhythm, helping you feel both physically relaxed and emotionally grounded. In the evening, add moments of gentle connection with your partner or loved ones, without expectation or performance. A brief hug, shared laughter, or simply holding hands while watching television is enough to spark oxytocin and serotonin release. These micro-moments create what I call micro-restoration. Small hormonal resets that lower blood pressure, reduce stress, and rebuild emotional safety over time. If you live alone, the benefits remain within reach. Gentle yoga, stretching, self-massage, or spending time with a pet activate the very same neurohormonal responses. Your body doesn't distinguish between affection from others and conscious care from yourself. It only responds to warmth and consistency. Before you begin any new ritual, remember, every body responds differently. Some women notice change in days, for others, it takes time. The key isn't perfection, it's patience and repetition. These small rituals help your body remember balance, paving the way for deeper connection, steadier energy, and emotional renewal. And with that foundation, we arrive at the most important truth of all. Restoring intimacy at this stage isn't about reclaiming youth. It's about reclaiming peace. At this chapter of life, intimacy is no longer about chasing youth or expectations. It's about understanding what your body truly needs to feel balanced, safe, and alive. When hormones shift, your body isn't abandoning you. It's asking for a different kind of care. And when you respond with patience, compassion, and awareness, the rewards reach far beyond any relationship. You sleep better. Your mood steadies. Your energy becomes calm yet enduring. The message I want every woman to remember is this: you haven't lost your vitality, you're stepping into a wiser version of it. Connection, whether through affection, conversation, or self-care, is one of the most powerful ways to sustain emotional and hormonal health after 50. Start small. Stay consistent. And watch how your body responds with peace, clarity, and warmth. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this message resonates with you, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video with another woman who may need to hear it. And help us reach our first milestone of 10,000 subscribers. Your support truly means the world to me. And before you go, leave a comment below with your country's name. Or simply write, "I'm here." Let's see how far this community of women can reach across the world. Your presence here is what makes this work meaningful. And that, in itself, is a beautiful form of connection.